So be it. Bring it on. Bring it on. JSEMP or JSEMP. Someone made me notice that the other day. I keep saying JSEMP and it's JSEMP. I'm like, wow, I've been making a mistake. I'm making a French mistake for 2 years in the program. JSEMP, Joyful Soul Expansion Mentorship Program. Second call of January 2024. This year, our global theme is standing in our pillars of light. And basically, the teaching that we're going to be working with all year is, what does that entail? What does that entail to stand? What does that entail to stand straight in your pillar of light, so that we can be these anchor points for that energy coming in, that divine energy coming in, so we can be pillars of ascension. Like I'm gonna talk about that tonight. I like the descending and ascending process. I just want to recap a little bit what I was explaining. For me, my goal this year, in order for us to stand as pillars of light, I want us to be working on different angles during the year. You know, the front and the back, the sides, the central line and its descending and ascending energy, and the core going outwards past the boundary, and the energy coming in from the world through the boundary into the core. So it's like four different movements of energy. And in order for us to be pillars that can actually hold the immensity of the light, all these areas, all these movements, they need to be able to have proper flow in them. A lot of us have, the flows are disrupted in certain areas. At a deeper level, we've got defense structures that affect the flow as well. And at an even deeper level than only defense structures, which are more like the character structures that we talked about last year, like schizoid, oral, like these little structures that we've built and created, kind of personalities of how we work, we play with energy and how we exchange energy with others. Beyond these structures, there are structures within us. Some of them we came in with, some of them we inherited from our lineage, some of them we inherited literally from our parents, that also have an impact on the flow of energy. So there's all these angles to play with. And what I was doing 2 weeks ago is I was showing you a breathing technique that's a little bit hard to master at first, because it seems so counterintuitive, where we inhale, and when we inhale, we bring the energy down, and then we exhale, we push the earth energy. We push the earth energy back up. And what we're doing when we do that, it's one of the reasons it feels kind of like uncomfortable and kind of counterintuitive, is because we're pushing really grounded energy up into our structures, and the structures react to that, because, well, for various reasons, but specifically because the earth energy is really solid energy. When we can really connect to that energy, it's like you are as solid as a mountain. And when you can really connect to like divine energy, you're as light as a flower. If we can be both of those at the same time, solid as a rock and light as a flower, oof. So when we're pumping that energy back up through the exhale, what we were doing last week, 2 weeks ago, we're bringing that high density, not in a bad way, that high density earth energy up into these structures, and they don't like it. So please have fun practicing that sometimes, what we did 2 weeks ago. Just inhaling, core of the earth, exhaling, bringing the energy up, flowing it up through your body, through your aura, and feeling where is it more uncomfortable when you do that. And that gives you a pretty good idea of where you need to aim, to lighten energy. Because if there wasn't dense energy in that area of your body that feels uncomfortable when you do that, it wouldn't feel uncomfortable. It would just feel like the most natural flow of energy. Because it is a natural flow of energy. It is the ascension energy. The ascension energy is trying to bring you higher. So we're not going to do the same breathing tonight. We're going to practice another sort of breathing tonight. We're still going to be working with inhaling energy up from the core of the earth, though. So we're still staying in that that place of working with denser energies. Because Gaia is doing this. We are part of her body. We get to participate to this with her. And if we don't want to, it just gets harder and harder. You can see people that aren't doing the work and that don't understand the process going on right now. Their lives get like denser and denser and more complicated. But the ones that do this work, it's not that there isn't a bunch of shit going on in our lives. It's that we know how to flow energy into it. We know how to hold the light while we go through these things. Because we can't stop the process. We can't stop the birthing pains of a new world. But we can be stable pillars of light in that process. So that's our goal all year long. And we're gonna have a lot of fun doing a bunch of different things. But for tonight, what I want to hone into is a couple of simple little things that I want you to just get used to practicing on a regular basis whenever you kind of think about it. In order for us to be able to stand as pillars of light, there needs to be space in us. There needs to be space for energy to move in us. In order for there to be space for energy to move in us, we need to how to say this? We need to expand the space between things in us. If I just use your vertebrae as an example right now. In yoga, there's this, they often mention this thing. It's like, imagine that there's like a little wire here, and that little wire, it's almost like it's pulling up your spine, right? So that, allowing yourself to, because there is a wire, really, it's called your it's your central line, and it connects you all the way up to source, and it connects you all the way down to earth, to the core of the earth. But to just have that little practice sometimes of imagining that little line and with an inhale, you kind of bring space in the spine. And when you exhale, you don't contract it back down. You're and you hold and you exhale. You don't. And it's incredible. You can do a couple of breaths like that. And it's you bring more and more space between your vertebrae, which is amazing because it's you're just physically speaking, your vertebrae, they have these little spongy things between them, but then we're contracted and we're sinking more and more into our bodies, and we're squeezing on these little pillows, and eventually these pillows, they get kind of deformed, and then, whatever you call that, when the nerve gets pinched and stuff like that. Such a simple practice. I inhale, I imagine there's a thread, a little thread, a little wire. And when I inhale, I'm just going to go up. And when I exhale, I relax my body, but I don't go down. I inhale. And when I exhale, the lungs empty out, the stomach relaxes, but I don't curve back down my spine on myself. And a couple of little pointers like that, most of the time we're walking around like this. If you just look at people walking around when you're anywhere, just look, most people are like this. So that little wire thing, it does that other thing where it's kind of if you have a little wire over your head, you're not going to be Oh, you kind of bring your neck in a little bit. You make sure that your neck is actually on top of your spine. So just these little micro movements that you practice, these micro movements, so small, and they can make such a difference. You can notice your thinking change just from doing that. Going from like, and you're like, okay, wait, whoa, 1 second. Let me just back up. let me just get my head back on top of my spine. Let me like tilt my neck in a little bit, and let me just like, let me inhale and like just stretch the spine a bit, and exhale. Keep all that stuff aligned, and something you'll notice. Oh, that thought pattern I was in just disappeared. That overwhelm energy just kind of like dissipated. It can be that fast. So please, like, I'll keep reminding us during the meditation tonight, because I want to like anchor it in. I want to anchor it in so deep that it's like, just come on. Every time you're inhaling, that little thread is pulling you up. Like it's almost like ascension energy, like calling you, like, hey, come on up here. That's one thing I want to say. Practice becoming aware of your posture, especially when you're sitting. That's when we contract and condense it the most, especially when you're sitting. I used to have an alarm. I would just go off every like 20 minutes. And it was like, it was just spine. That's all I would say. It was my spine alarm. And it's like, oh, okay, whoops, get back. And you'll notice a lot of things from doing this, because we tend to be going forward. Our lower back, like near our sacrum, it's getting kind of like tilted forward. And then our head's tilted forward. So then we've got, instead of our back being like this, so that a pillar of light is straight, instead of our back being like this, it's already like this. Okay. Like that's our butt. There's our butt over here, right? Instead of being like this, it's like this. And then we get up here, and then our neck's like this even more. So now we've got this weird, I should be doing a drawing, I'd be better than my hand. But now we've got this weird thing like this, instead of it being like this. And you know what? That thing is also happening on the sides a little bit. Most of us, our hairlines look a little bit tilted to one side, a little bit like beside the tension on the other side. So practicing that. Okay, my little hand stuff is making my friends laugh on the calls. Practicing that inhale, lifting up, tilting up, bringing the neck in, making sure your spine, that your hips are like straight, your spine is on top of them, your neck is on top of your head. And then we make sure there's a lot of space between the vertebrae. There's a whole bunch of them, right? I don't even remember how many are there. There's 5, 12, 7. What is that? 20 something. All of them having these little pads in between. And we want these pads to have some room to breathe. And beyond the pads, this is trippy too, inside of the spine, it's like this, there's like a tube inside of the spine. And there's like it's like shiny white, pure nerve fiber, and it goes all the way into like the bulb of where the brain is, like on top of it. And that is full of electrical current, right? And we want that straight. We want that electrical current to be able to flow straight. And we also want that electrical current to be able to come out, because between each of your vertebrae, there's these nerve endings coming out between each of the vertebrae. They feed different areas, different organs, different systems, and every single vertebra has little nerve endings coming out of it. It's like the difference between your central nervous system, which is inside the spine, and then your peripheral, whatever, that's going into the body. We want your nervous system to be able to take in all the light, to take in all the electrical impulse, and that it flow well. So, step number one to being a pillar of light is getting our shit straight, straightening up, inhaling. It's like you bring yourself back so that you're actually on top of your hips and your neck is on, your skull is on top of your spine and up. And then when you exhale, you keep that position. I will repeat that many, many times this year. So if you're bored with me saying it already, good luck. Making that a conscious process as much as you can. Making that conscious decision. My inhales straighten me up. Whether you're walking around, whether you're sitting, even if you're laying down. So please just keep practicing that while I'm talking. It's almost insane because it feels like it can just go on forever. It's like you can just keep on expanding the amount of space between your vertebrae forever. Because every time you inhale, you can just a little bit more room, a little bit more room. And what are you doing? You're creating a little bit more room for the light, a little bit more room for the light, a little bit more room for God, a little bit more room for your divine essence to be able to flow into you, through you, as you. The other option is us just being contracted in all these dense stories about what we are, about what we're not, about what this guy did, about this, about life, about blah, 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 blah. It's like almost every courbature, like almost every like weird position in your body, it's because we're holding stuff there. We're holding stories, we're holding patterns, we're holding energies, we're holding entities, we're holding energetic structures that keep us in certain positions. And there's physical work you can do around this, right? There's like all the fascia stretching and all that yummy stuff where you're kind of like, getting your body to release tensions. And that's effing awesome. Yes to doing it. And it's complementary. But in this program, like we're not doing stretching together. We're doing spiritual stretching over here. That's what we're doing here. It's like spiritual workouts and spiritual stretching of energy, of becoming aware of what are the energies in you that are holding you in certain positions, that are holding you in certain postures about life. Like what a concept. Our postures about life. Our postures about work, our postures about love, our postures about, and then I just want to say our impostures, because it's all based on a BS system. It's all based on a belief system. And 99% of your beliefs are false. You've inherited them. They're fear-based. They're based on the experience of other people that were here before you. They're based on loyalty. They're based on loyalty to belief systems. They're based on misplaced loyalty to family belief systems, to lineages. All this. It's like, I'm not saying like it's all crap, but our job is to bring light into those things. And that's where we're at now. We as pillars, we are bringing in the light of truth. Some of us are doing Course in Miracle lessons this year on top of the program, the 365 lessons. And in a nutshell, that's what that course is trying to teach you. Only what you have created as God's child is real. Everything else, you made it up with your ego. Everything else is a bunch of freaking stories. Everything else are words you've put on things because of this deep-seated fear in the ego that if it shuts up, and it lets the truth come in. It lets what the Course calls the Word of God come in. It will know that everything it made was meaningless. It doesn't mean that everything is meaningless. It means that the light of the truth is the only meaning that is real. For the ego, that's like, for your spirit, that's like freedom, true peace, true love, true joy. It has no opposite. So, posture. Divine posture. The name that I'm coining for this year is it's like from I'm calling it from egoic integrity to soul sovereignty, or it's like another way of saying it is it from false pride to true pride, from understanding the difference between what your ego requires to feel in integrity with itself, from what it means to actually stand in your spiritual integrity. It's a very different thing. Egoic integrity is about loyalty to the belief system, loyalty to what it has decided it needs to do in order to receive the food that it needs. Spiritual integrity is about understanding you don't need fucking food. You don't need anyone to feed you anything. You are. Your core star essence, your divine essence is within you. You are what generates the love. And that's true integrity. No longer to what do I need to do so out there acts a certain way with me so that what others show me, I can live with seeing in myself. No, that's a prison. That is enslavement. To what? To other egos. There's no end to that. And like I'm talking about egos, like whether we're talking about a national ego, a cultural ego, a collective ego. Hey, there's probably even a human ego, as in like, we're from planet Earth and we're like this. Like I'm watching rewatching Arrival right now. That's what's coming in for me. It's just like, oh my God. My God, humans just imagine, they just imagine the way we are with each other equals like super evolved beings come to see us. And of course they're trying to steal things. Of course they're trying to, win. Of course they're trying to like battle. Of course, no. So true integrity is with yourself as a divine being. That's the integrity we're seeking to embody more and more this year. Your job isn't to live up to anyone else's requirements. Your job is to get very clear on what you are. Did you notice I didn't say who you are? What you are. A divine essence, here to shine your light onto the world, here to shine the light of truth into this dimension. Because who's need to protect themselves from other who's. A what is a what, no matter what. I like it. No matter what, you still are. No matter what happens outside of you, you still are. No matter what is going on in the world, you are still light. Mm. Yeah. Our meditation tonight is going to touch into working with the spine a lot. I'm okay if you want to lay down for this meditation. I don't require that you absolutely be sitting. What's fun about sitting is that you can kind of feel the current coming into your feet and stuff like that, but it's not mandatory. Standing in our pillars of light. We will be affecting structures within us this year. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because what we want as integrity is also what you could call structural integrity. That our systems be like, I don't think I want to talk about sacred geometry, but there's a certain sacred geometry to the body. Like that's part of your natural structural integrity. Then we have other forms of integrity that we've constructed that are to like, it's kind of like, oh, I'm holding this thing over here and it kind of hurts. So let me just kind of like learn to tilt this way a little bit and have like a little prop that holds that part up. No. And then, yeah, okay. So the building's not collapsing, but that's not the same thing as having like this impeccable structural integrity of straight. Yeah. We're going to go into the meditation now. Yeah, get comfy. Yeah. Sorry. I'm talking to myself, talking to my light. I don't even know how to say that. Straight spine. I'll keep bringing it back to that over and over again. And we're just gonna pass a lot of light through the spine tonight. Through the spine, like through it and also out up the vertebrae, into the brain, into the legs and arms. Let's have some fun pumping some like shiny white, silvery powder light into all of the nervous system. Let's do it. To you watching this first part of the call on YouTube, if you want to join us and actually experience this with us, look at the description below and find out how to reach out to me.